What's up everybody, Subaru WRX fan here for a comparison video. So I get people asking me all the time, what's the difference between the Scion version and the Subaru version? And so I just decided to grab my buddy's FR-S here and give you a breakdown of exactly what the differences are between the BRZ and the FR-S. So basic things up front, you should be able to tell here is two different bumpers. You have this black mustache kind of bumper thing going on here on the BRZ. The FR-S doesn't have that. Instead you have these fangs that stick out at the bottom and you have a larger lower grille opening there. And so that's the first thing. Next is that I have LED daytime running lights here that are always on whenever you're driving. This car, it just has the orange markers down there and that's it. There are no daytime running lights aside from the ones in the headlights. Also, since I have a limited BRZ, I have fog lights. The standard BRZ wouldn't have those, but obviously that's a difference that you can tell right up front. Also, if you look closely, the headlights are different. The headlights in this one have a lot more chrome going on inside of them here, and they also, they still have the projection headlights like the BRZ, but the BRZs, as you might have seen in some of my videos, has this eyebrow kind of fishhook shaped thing in there that's a running light that comes on with the parking lights. And then also you have xenons as standard on the BRZ versus the standard halogens in the FR-S. So yeah, the headlight design is slightly different. There's more black accents inside the BRZ headlight than there is in the FR-S. But of course you also have different badges on the front. But aside from that, the hood is exactly the same. Everything else on the front end here is the same. You come along to the sides here, you'll see that you have the arrow kind of fake fender vent here on the BRZ. That's how they decided to do that whole fender treatment. Whereas on the FR-S, you'll see you have this 86 badge with the horizontally opposed cylinders firing away, and then you have a small little fake vent there on the very end of it. So those are the main differences on the sides. Otherwise, as you can see, the rims are identical. They just put a little Subaru badge on this one and the Scion badge on that one. Same exact rims. And so yeah, it's very, very similar in both cars. So for the back ends of these cars, almost identical, as you can see. Now, again, my BRZ is the limited version, so I have the spoiler. This car, you can, get a TRD spoiler, I believe, as an option if you'd like, but the standard BRZ would have the same exact trunk lid as the FR-S. Same exact back end, really. You have the same taillights, you have the same lower rear diffuser thing, and the backup lights integrated into that. And really the one big thing, obviously, you can tell is he has a TRD exhaust, which is aftermarket. I have the SRT exhaust, which is aftermarket. But normally these cars have the exact same exhaust tips as well. So, I mean, everything is identical here on the back. Obviously, the only big change is the badges. You have the Scion versus Subaru. The BRZ badges are up here, higher up on the trunk lid, versus the FR-S badge, which is down right by the license plate. But otherwise, it's exactly the same on the back end of the exteriors of these cars. Another thing while we're on the back end here, though, is the one mechanical difference between these two cars is the way the suspension is set up. The suspension in the BRZ has slightly softer springs, so this car is supposed to be slightly less prone to oversteer. This car is supposed to be a little bit more tail happy. In my FR-S review that I did recently, you'll know that I drove that car all afternoon and it felt identical to the BRZ to me. So, the differences are very, very minute and small that it's probably not even noticeable unless you're on a track driving these cars hard. But this car does have stiffer springs in the rear. Aside from that, underwise, as far as the chassis are concerned, they're identical. They're built in the same factory, and this car has Subaru stamps all over it. They're both built in Japan in a Subaru factory. Identical cars, basically. Alright, so for the interiors of these two cars, door panels are exactly the same. Not even going to talk about that. So, as far as this interior goes, though, you have, since this has the xenon headlights, I have the headlight leveling knob here that changes the headlight levels. And otherwise, okay, so you have the steering wheels are exactly the same on both cars. Just have a Scion badge on one versus Subaru badge on the other. Same exact steering wheel. Everything up here is all the same. The main differences here are that, I have the navigation head unit here, whereas the standard FR-S's don't have that. It's just a basic radio. And I have the silver accents here on the front of the dash panel, and that car, you have the faux carbon fiber kind of accents for that panel here. And a lot of people prefer that faux carbon fiber over this silver because this silver can scratch easily. But this isn't a point of contact that you're always touching, so I feel like there's no reason that should really be scratched up anyway. So as far as the gauges are concerned in these cars, you have the standard kind of basic more gauges in the BRZ where it has the white letters with the black background, and with the FR-S you have the white background for the tachometer and the black dials, and then the interior lighting at night for the BRZ is all orange for the gauges versus a white backlight for the FR-S at night. So that's one of the biggest differences here on the inside you're going to see all the time, but otherwise the key mechanics of the gauges are the same. So you still have the center speedometer that's digital in both cars, the same odometer, you have the same everything. They both have the shift lights and all that kind of stuff. So it's just basically the gauge faces that are different and the illumination. So the other big difference in these cars is the HVAC controls here in the middle. So in the BRZ, it kind of varies. The BRZ Limited like this, I have auto climate control. So you just set your temperature and it's good to go, and it does everything automatically. And you have these nice little knobs, and it's a little bit more of an upscale feature. If you had a BRZ Premium or the FR-S, you just have the basic switch gear of the big clunky knobs that you switch and do everything manually. Another thing is you have these kind of GTR-esque notches down here that are for the auto climate control, air conditioning, rear defroster, all that kind of stuff. And also you'll see that I have an engine start stop button, which is again only a BRZ limited feature. If you have the standard BRZ, you wouldn't have that. And so because of that, you'll see on the FR-S you have a much wider opening here to have a little storage space to put a phone or something like that, whereas mine is very thin, can't really fit a whole lot in there, maybe a pack of gum, that's about it. And then you'll have the same auxiliary and USB ports on the FR-S and the BRZ in that location. Also, since again this is a limited BRZ, I have the heated seats here, and normally you wouldn't have that in that car. It's just a blank plate right there. So otherwise though, that's the only differences here really on the interiors of the BRZ and the FR-S. The seats are the only other slight difference. The seats are identical, it's just a matter of the fabric that's on them. So you have the micro cloth that's on the FR-S versus the BRZ here. The Limited that I have has the Alcantara inserts with leather on the outsides. Standard BRZ, this is just all cloth, standard perforated cloth seats. And so you'll see, like for example, the black Alcantara accents that I have around the shoulder parts on the seats versus the red fiber that you'll see on the FR-S. But otherwise, yeah, basically the same exact car on the inside. Obviously, it's the same shell, same mechanics, same everything. It's just, switches and little finishes that are different. Otherwise, it's exactly the same on the inside as well. So yeah, guys, that's all the differences on the BRZ and the FR-S. As you can see, most of them are very minute, minor details, nothing big, no big changes. And like I've said, I've driven both of these cars before. They drive exactly the same to me. Unless you're driving these cars at 10/10ths, you're not going to notice a difference between the two, the way they handle, in my opinion. So yeah, I just wanted to give everyone a rundown of all the differences on the BRZ and FR-S. And the FR-S, for those of you that are watching from another country, the FR-S is basically very, very similar to the base Toyota 86 you get in Japan. The GT86 Toyota that you get over in Europe has some of the slightly more upmarket features that you get in the BRZ, and has a little bit of a nicer interior. But aside from that, you have very similar exterior stuff. This is basically the Toyota version in the rest of the world. So yes, unfortunately Toyota was just shy to bring a sports car to America just right now, so they decided to put a Scion badge on it instead. But this is basically the Toyota version. Subaru version is the same in all markets. So yeah, but those are all the differences between the two cars, guys. Just wanted to break it down for you, and hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you want to see any other comparison videos in the future between these two. I'll see you next time. Take care.